Hey, welcome to Art's Place. We are back on StreamYard, so hopefully everything will work out because we were getting really terrible lag over there on vMix. Lloyd and I, we're going to sort this out. So let's bring in my illustrious co-host, Lloyd Mendenhall.
How you doing,
There
Art? Doing, Art? I
I'm
just
doing
noticed.
all right now that we've got that all
Okay.
sorted out. We're
Uh,
only about 10 minutes late, so
okay. Well, one thing I noticed real quick is I noticed that you have two instances up there. You have the one you started plus the one that you had set for that you could set the reminder on,
uh-huh.
and so that might have been a problem. I was waiting for, still waiting
Hmm,
for it to come live
okay.
because I don't see it yet. But yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah.
We'll get started with this show. Uh,
Just one thing I want to say really quick. Jaybird, no, I did not get your message on Messenger. You might have to remind. Are you using a different name? Maybe I didn't recognize your real name, and if you would send me that message again, and I will mail out your prize tomorrow. All right, so we're back. So hopefully everybody will be. We got Jaybirds in. Hopefully, everybody else who was over on the other StreamYard or
yeah.
other
Let me
stream,
do a
they'll be here.
quick share on Twitter. Tweet that out. Okay.
Great.
And let me do a Facebook share. And boy, I think the internet's running slow. And I rebooted my system. But anyway, there we go. Twitter and Facebook. So we should get everybody back in. All right. So let me get on the right page here. Uh, am I still
Yeah.
on?
There we go. All right. So,
Oh, there it
yeah.
is up
So
there.
Chaz has now changed their name to Chop, and
Yeah.
now somebody's dead. Somebody got shot and killed. So, yeah, that's a real utopia they got going there.
Yeah. That's yeah, and they won't let people into uh well, that ain't working. Okay. I was
Yeah.
trying something that was going to make it easier for me, but it's not going to work. Okay. Anyways, yeah, they're supposed to have had a shooting there, and they won't let the cops in to do what they've got to do because it's a police-free zone.
Right.
That's the biggest bunch of nutcases I've ever heard of in my life. And what's worse is the flipping mayor. They need
Yeah.
to forcibly remove her out of office. And I mean, because
Well,
first
they
off, why?
should, but they won't. You know
Yeah,
why?
why?
Because it's a Democrat city
Well,
and
yeah,
it's a Democrat state. Well, let me rephrase that. It's Democrat on the West Coast. Over on the west eastern half of the state, it's very conservative.
yeah. I know a lot of conservatives that live up in that area, and they're, I had a long talk with one guy that lives in Oregon, you know, and he says up there in northern Oregon, he says that's where the populous part of the state is at, just like it is in Denver, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yep.
just thank God that Tulsa and Oklahoma City, which are two biggest cities, uh, and Lawton, Fort Sill, are all, which are three largest. They're all conservative, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Although the mayor tried to pull some shenanigans with Trump, but that
Yeah, I
ended
heard
up,
about that.
yeah,
I heard about.
yeah,
So yeah, now the mayor of Olympia is all a Twitter. Pardon the pun. That
yeah,
why are these people vandalizing her house? She's on their side. So these people are eating their own already.
Oh yeah, 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 and that's the way socialism works. You know, they promise a utopia, and you end up getting what do they call it, an allegory. You know,
Allegory?
yeah, yeah, not Al Gore.
Yeah, an
It's one of them
allegory.
50. Yeah, it's one of them 50-cent words. I can't get my tongue gets
Yeah,
wrapped around my eye
yeah,
teeth,
forget.
and I can't see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, anyways, uh,
Oh yeah, Steve. It probably won't show up until what after the show, will it?
what's that?
Steve Carpenter says the new stream is not showing up on my channel. Maybe you have to refresh the channel.
Well, he's typing in it. How did he get to it?
That's true.
Steve, how'd you get through? It showed up when I checked it out.
Yeah, I see it now. It
Yeah.
says live now. Okay.
Okay.
For watching. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So there we go.
All right. Got that working.
Hello, Rodney. Welcome.
All right.
So, and I like Steve's suggestion. If they want to end this whole thing, all they have to do is turn off the cell service, and then
Turn off the power at the cell service.
Yep.
The water. Don't
Yep.
provide them with porta potties. You know.
Yep.
There's I just can't imagine a mayor allowing that to happen to their own city.
Well, I can.
Well, yeah.
They all think the same way. They all agree with that.
Yeah. Here's a question. If this mayor agrees with that, why isn't she living in Chaz? Or Chop?
Yeah.
Or Suey, or whatever they call their name. They call their town.
Mm-hmm.
See that little pun there? Chop, Suey. Yeah.
Suey.
Yeah, that's as good as well, they are pigs too, yeah.
Oh, and
Chop,
did you see
Suey.
brilliant farmers too?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that little lot they've got growing out there.
Topsoil and dump it on sand. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. They say that farmers are dumb, stupid hicks. Oh, and they're brilliant. No, let's put all this potting soil on sand and we'll grow stuff. Hello, you're about 2 months too late in the season to get anything to grow.
Well, yeah, I am amazed, and I've been on a rampage, for a week or so now, on my videos, and it's not going to let up soon.
No.
But it's amazing the height of ignorance and stupidity that these leftists have. I mean, I'm just amazed that there's human beings in the 21st century that are still that flippin' ignorant, and that they're stupid enough to elect people just like them. At least I'm smart enough to elect somebody who's smarter than me and has some morals about him. I mean, they wouldn't even let the cops in to investigate the shooting.
I'm not sure about that.
Oh,
she's not sure about that, Lloyd. Alexis, not sure.
I swear to God, she is becoming self-aware. She has started talking to us right in the middle of the night. She'll start talking. Like, I never said her name. We've got a different name in the bedroom because, well, Judy couldn't remember the name that I use here. And she's just like, it's becoming autonomous. It's just scary, self-aware.
Somebody is talking in their sleep. That's why.
I don't think so. Because we'll be laying there and watching TV, and there's just one word that sounds. Well, so I did say ignorant, and she started talking. That's sort of like you say ignorant to a leftist, and then they'll start telling you, give you a 30-minute diatribe of why they're not ignorant. And what's the old joke? light is faster than sound. So
Yeah.
when we see somebody, they look very bright, but once they start speaking, we realize they're not.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that is so true. And what is odd is these leftists are not hiding their agenda anymore.
No,
They're upfront about it.
this is the beginning of it's the beginning of their revolution.
Hmm.
This it, taking over, parts of Seattle or wherever that's at. Uh, Taking over that section, that's just the beginning. That's like the first shots of the Bolshevik Revolution, or
Yep.
the going back to the French Revolution,
Yeah.
which ended up being a socialist movement too.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yeah. For a short time there, and then that got overthrown. That was part of the Robespierre
right, yeah, yeah,
era, and where he was killing off people that he didn't like. And
yeah,
then they finally got to him, and he tried to commit suicide, and all he did was end up blowing part of his jaw away, and he survived, and then they beheaded him.
yeah, yeah. You know,
You
I'm
know,
thinking all the
he's
time they
probably
wasted.
saying, "Oh yeah, maybe beheading wouldn't be so bad because." Boy, shooting myself in the head sure didn't work out the way you wanted.
Yeah, yeah. It's just amazing I, and this has been coming on for 50 years or more. You know, we've allowed it to slide in. The nation was appalled at Joe McCarthy. You
Right.
know, but then they decided to have the counter. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Counter
they
revolution.
yeah, counter revolution or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they
Uh,
guys, I got to apologize. I've had one cup of hot tea, and I only woke up 10 minutes for the show, so my mind is a little foggy. But yeah, it's just amazing the height of ignorance. It's just I'm astounded every day, and that's why I've been on a rampage.
well, and it all falls back on our education system. I mean, and you're right. It's our generation that failed. We just let this happen. We all thought, oh no, this is just nobody's going to believe that crap, and nobody thought that hey, maybe our kids are being manipulated. And I think back, I think back, think back. I think
Think
back
back.
to when I was in high school. I go, yeah. Come to think about it, I was being taught, but wasn't blatant. It was sort of like little by little, and then I started listening to Rush Limbaugh back in the early '90s,
Yeah,
where
I
he
start.
talked about how television was starting to
Yeah,
manipulate,
yeah,
and All in the Family, those Norman Lear shows, those were all to kind of mold and manipulate society towards their direction. And then I started watching shows I used to love. I can't watch the reruns because that I could just all the liberalism and the indoctrination just pops out at you, and you just like, wow, we really were being manipulated.
yeah. We were.
Hmm. Because Norman Lear was part of the American Way project, which was the forerunner of MoveOn.org.
Yeah. What
Hmm.
what amazes me is here's the thing. there's so many people in. Yeah, Archie Bunker. I'd like to see that now. That's
Yeah.
what Steve says. You know, uh, so many of the people that were in Hollywood at the time were Jewish descent, and they marched with the protester Martin Luther King. But now they're just considered another rich white guy, and they're anti-Semitic now in a lot
Yep.
of these groups.
Hmm.
And I was always amazed that they were marching against this group with this group of anti-democratic because they most of them that were in Hollywood and working there, they were conservatives in their thoughts because they'd been through National Socialism, you
Hmm.
know, and they didn't see it for what it was in those early days, and that's
That's right.
because to me there's not a lot of difference when you look at it between the uh, socialist movement now and the communist and Nazi movement of the 1940s,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or 1930s actually.
Hmm.
So it just amazes me. And it's our generation where these, I hate to say it, but them damn hippies.
Yep. Hmm. Oh, and I posted on Facebook this morning that isn't it amazing that back in the 60s and 70s, these hippies would say, uh, what was it that I said? Something about, oh God, now I'm having a brain fart too. Aye, where was it? Aye, no, you can't take shower in a parakeet cage. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember back in the 60s and 70s, hippies would question authority.
Yeah.
Now, same people are outraged when people say it today. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how many of those hippies have grown up to become conservatives,
Mm,
and but yet we still have. Yes, Mike, you were right. The Nazis were socialist,
yep.
and I mean that's what Nazi stood for as National Social. I don't speak
Nationals.
German.
Yep.
Yeah, but they were National Socialist. They were the worst of the two. They were nationalist and socialist,
Hmm.
which
Yeah,
is
but they were more interested in socialism on a national scale
yeah,
and then spread out their borders where the Russians were socialists, but they want it worldwide.
right, right,
Yeah. But here's the thing that, well, we talk about Nazis were socialists. And one of the arguments I have with some of these historical YouTube channels is they're always saying, well, the right wing Nazis and the left wing communists. And I point out, no, they're both on the left because the Nazis were socialists. And
yeah,
I tried to explain to them the continuum on the continuum scale for freedom and totalitarianism.
right,
Where the further right you get more and more freedom or smaller and smaller government to a point where you have anarchy. There's no government. To where you
yeah,
go to the left, you get more bigger government, more totalitarianism, more authoritarian. And
yeah,
that communist is way out on the left. Socialists are slightly to the right of that.
yeah,
And libertarians are kind of a hybrid. They're a hodgepodge. They believe some of their ideas are on the left. Majority of their ideas are on the right.
yeah, yeah.
And the thing that I don't like about libertarianism is they believe in open borders, which I don't agree with that because if you have open borders, you don't have a nation
Yeah, yeah.
because they're more market oriented. They're thinking, okay, this will lower the price, the cost of labor. Well, yeah, you do that, then you're suppressing wages of the Americans that live in the United States. Because if you look at the growth of wages over the last 20 years, they've been very, very slow because these illegals come in, they work for half of what Americans will work for, and they drive, you know, people out, and that's why the welfare state really grew and grew because there were a lot of people saying, you know, I'm not going to do that job for half of what it should be.
Yeah, and that's what the problem is in some ways with the bailouts and all the stuff the government's been doing here just over the COVID,
Yeah,
because if you can work at home or you can, companies are going to say, well, wait a minute, why should I have to pay so much overhead? I don't have to have this shop air conditioned or this office system air conditioned because they're working on computers anyways. They can just work at home and we're going to save a lot on the utility bill, you know,
yeah, and I think that's going to be
the
the
next
new
wave.
wave is
Yeah.
it's going to change the landscape, especially if you're like a data processor or do a lot of work on computers
Yeah.
instead of going to work. That's going to change the landscape on that. But if you have like I have a blue collar job where I actually work in a factory. There's no way of getting around
Yeah.
uh, doing that at home. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's certain works that is going to have to be done there.
yeah,
But I just wonder I'm wondering what the overall cost to this nation is going to be. I'll say one thing. This whole COVID-19, we've talked about it forever. You know, when I talked to our doctor here a week and a half ago on that
mhm,
virtual thing, he said even if he comes back to working in the office, the chances of actually physically seeing him are probably 0 to none right now. He says because
wow,
he'll stay in his office and do a virtual conference after the nurses have checked
yep,
us out and everything, and then it's going to look like something out of George Jetson.
yep, hmm,
And it's like one of my meds. They won't fill it until I come up there. Well, okay, fine. It's on you guys.
hmm,
Uh, but because I've got to sign it. It's one of those meds that suddenly, after being on the market for 10, 15 years now, they've decided that it's an opioid, even though it has, no opioids, it's not got any opium in it, which is what an
yeah.
opioid is.
Well, yeah, they consider it a narcotic.
Well, they call it an opioid. That's what
Uh,
this idiot that called me up, and I looked up and and it even says it was not listed as an opioid, but they decided to because people started getting addicted to it. Well, people get addicted to Motrin. You
yep,
take enough of that crap over the years, you got to keep taking more and more of it. And pretty soon, you can't get up out of bed unless you've had 4 Motrins in the morning and 4 at noon, 4 at night. Uh,
well, we got our first troll in.
your thoughts on
Groin
minimum?
the Hobbit. Okay.
Well,
Yep.
he
One
wants
year
to know.
prison term in flag burning. Okay.
Well, no, don't discount that because that's exactly what Donald Trump said in Tulsa, Oklahoma last night.
Uh huh. Oh,
And
yeah.
so he's wanting to know. We'll see what he says after that, but I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you burn our flag. Here's the thing. I saw a show that was done in Australia, and they had gone to the French embassy, and there were flags flying everywhere. One of the young, you know, uh, I don't know,
Yeah.
petty
Yeah.
officers or some stole the flag, okay, and one of them, it was a French flag. Well, that just ticked off a lot of people, and finally he had to come up to uh, in his superior, his officer, uh, told him, he says, listen, that's a very powerful emblem. We stand and salute it. We bury, we put it over the coffins of our dead.
Right.
It's a very important item, and they're just as proud of their flag as we are of ours. If that was the Australian flag, you'd be biting nails to get it back. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when people burn the American flag, guys like me who served in the military, we're a little ticked off about it.
Yep.
And Donald Trump said, you know, he thinks there ought to be a law that says you spend a year in jail for burning our flag. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not freedom of expression. That's disrespecting the emblem of our nation. You know,
Right.
and you
Hillbilly
don't.
wants to know if the residents of Chad are American citizens. Well, that's only in theory, but they're still American citizens because we don't recognize the kingdom of Chaz, or what I would like to call as Holistan.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. See, Steve's the same way about the flag. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So, okay. This leads right into another good topic we could talk about. How about these Antifa idiots that are pulling down statues, and then they're burning the American flag? They let's see, down California, they tore down the statue of Ulysses S. Grant, and I find that either ironic or weird that they would pull down the statue of the person who got the South to surrender,
yeah,
and who've pretty much helped free, well, set the stage for the slaves to become American citizens, to
yeah,
become freed people.
yeah,
So,
yeah. He was responsible for winning the war, which in once the South surrendered, once Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse, then they were able to push forward the Emancipation Proclamation, which had been signed like 2 years before, and that's why it's Juneteenth, which was Friday, was such
right.
a big deal because that was when both Texas and Oklahoma were finally notified that these slaves were free. You know,
Hmm. I like
and
what Steve says. Put them under the statue and
yeah, and
and
and and Thomas Jefferson, okay, he was from a time where he had slaves. It was it
yeah,
was it was a
yeah.
it
He
was a
was,
bad institution to begin with. It shouldn't have ever been done.
and he
But
agreed with the abolitionists.
yeah,
didn't he?
he freed all his slaves when he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
freed them all, and yet
yeah.
they pulled down his statue.
Hmm.
And I like what I heard Trump say this yesterday. I was listening on the radio because our local radio was carrying it, so I listened to some of what he said. One of the things that cracked me up, he says, you know, they were going to pull down the statue of Christopher Columbus in New York until the Italians decided to surround the statue and protect it. He says, that Antifa bunch, they didn't do too well against my Italian friends. He says,
Well,
gotta love the Italian Americans.
hmm
They got their butts kicked.
you know what's funny about that? In California, they want to get rid of the statue of Columbus at the state capitol in Sacramento.
Yeah. Well,
They
they
want
tried it
to
in New
get rid of
York too. Didn't
it. Yeah.
work too well
No.
because, he's one of their people.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. We need to start standing up instead of being this mealy mouth bunch of Republicans. We need
Yeah.
to strap on our guns if we're legal to carry, walk down there with a baseball bat or two and start protecting these statues. The reason these statues are being torn down is uh, because we haven't got our backbone yet. We need to start getting it. And that's kind of crap that's been
Well,
pissing me
and
off.
plus, Lloyd, those statues are, well, let's see, who runs those city? Where, the Democrats run those cities where those statues are. So
Yeah.
they're the ones letting it happen. So
Well,
unless a bunch of us conservatives go down there,
that's
and
exactly what I'm talking about. I
that's
think
what
we
we
need
need
to.
to do.
I think we need to do that. I mean, we need if the city that is elected is not going to protect emblems of the history of America, then it's time for us to start doing it. And let me tell you, there's a lot of guys in the military that I know that have already been contacting me and say, we haven't finished our oath. Our oath is to protect
And
America from, protect us from enemies, both
foreign and
foreign
domestic.
and domestic. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Still too early for me,
Yeah.
but it's time. I guarantee you, I've got a lot of people calling me that are getting tired of this,
Yep. Mm.
and uh, this just a bunch of crap. And I know there are more conservatives than there are those bleeding heart liberals, and it's time for us to take a stand. And I mean that in all things. It's just time to quit sitting on our butts talking about it and actually do something.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I'll be quiet again.
Well, and I think part of the problem why we don't stand up or say anything is because, well, we've seen a lot of business owners who did stand up and they're getting pilloried and humiliated or threatened. And they just want to keep their business open. So they just kind of go play along and to go along, it's just sad. And that's why we don't have wealthy conservatives running for office. Or how about this idea? Start our own news network, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Uh, like here in Colorado, we have Phil Anschutz. He's probably the wealthiest conservative here in the state, but he just all he does is he doles out some money to different candidates and causes, and he he won't get behind anything. If he would, well, he did buy the Gazette, the Colorado Springs Gazette, but
right.
if he would just buy the Denver Post and turn it around and get rid of a bunch of these bleeding heart liberals on the staff and bringing it more back towards the center, I bet their subscription rate would just go through the roof. That
What?
paper would
Yeah,
come back in no time.
yeah. You've got some people have made, and here's the thing. I like Blaze TV.
Yeah.
That's got a lot of well, it's a conservative thing. It's a conservative station, but you have to get a subscription. You have to pay extra for it, and that's the problem. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
uh,
because they've got to compete with these other people, and it costs money to
what?
run
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
but the point is,
Talent, they don't work for free.
well, but yet we got CBS, NBC, and ABC that we get that free over the air. We need something that does the same thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Fox News is cable, and
Yeah.
you get it as a bundle. But
There is Fox Network.
or Fox
It's over.
Nation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
Fox Network, the Fox
yeah.
Network.
But
But
all those stations, they're liberal, just like the rest of the local.
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jay Bird or Joe, we can't get rid of CNN because that's part of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only way to get rid of it is for us not to watch it, but you got
Right.
enough bleeding heart liberals that are going to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh, and then you have bleeding heart billionaires. They'll pump money into it.
yeah.
Jay, going, should conservatives concede on you? No.
No,
No, we shouldn't, because uh, that is,
it's one of the tenets of
we
our.
get well. I don't really want to go into the philosophical things about that. We could talk about that on another time, but that's a good point. I don't think they should concede, but what what we need to do, if we change the minds of the people, is not getting in their faces about it, but have it as kind of a mixture of, okay, these are our ideas, and then we need to expose the left. We need to get more of our people in positions of power, whether it's the state house, or state, the county commissioners, or
Yeah,
on the federal level. If we have more of our people in the House and the Senate, and it'd be really nice if we could have more people with like-minded on the Supreme Court, because those idiots are driving me nuts. We put conservative judges on there, and they're like voting with these idiot liberals on and it's like, come on, guys.
yeah. I
What?
don't understand that.
Here's my thought about, okay, you want to put a conservative judge on a Supreme Court. Ask him this question: what's more important to you, being on the Supreme? How important is going to social parties?
Yeah,
I think maybe if we get some judges who don't care about that kind of stuff, then maybe they won't be kowtowed by people at these parties to mold them into voting a certain way.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's what's happening. I
Well,
think
the other
Rob
thing is, I,
and a few others are going to these parties, and people are, of liberal minds saying, well, what are your thoughts on this? And, well, maybe you should kind of bend on that. Maybe
yeah,
slowly they're being manipulated
yeah.
because
It's
they're being part of the swamp.
well,
So,
and that's it. There needs to be a term limit on the Supreme Court justices.
yeah, I
I
think
mean, good God, they got. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think she actually died a couple, 3 or 4 months ago, but they're just pumping blood through her to make her look like she's alive. And
yeah.
they got maybe Jeff Dunham's doing her voice for her. You know, sort of like with Ahmed the dead terrorist. Well, you know,
I kill
uh,
you.
yeah, yeah, Ruth, the dead Supreme Court justice. You
Yeah,
know, and I don't wish her to die, but she needs to retire and
yeah,
enjoy these last few years of her life because
yeah.
she's been up there long enough. She proved her point. Okay, good on you, but
But
get
she's a
your old out
liberal.
of the way.
That's her thing. Is I need to stop these bad conservatives.
Yeah, it's time for her to get her old butt out of the way.
Yep.
And that's the problem I have with the Supreme Court is this life. We don't need 100-year-old judges because people are starting to live longer. I mean, I'm looking now at
Oh
we got
yeah.
movie stars that are living to 102, 103 before they die. We don't
Yeah.
need a 100-year-old judge in there. I don't
Mhm.
care how good they are. We need to put a term limit on the Supreme Court.
Right.
We have a term limit on everything else, you know, and
Well, not for uh,
well,
the
not a
federal
term
level.
limit, but
Like for,
they have to be reelected every
yeah, that's how you
two,
get
four,
term
six.
limits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2, 4, 6 years. But Supreme Court judges, they're appointed and they're there for life.
Hmm.
You know
Or if
that,
they resign,
or if they resign. Yeah, yeah,
or they're incapacitated, whether
right.
by death or medical.
Stroke, yeah, or something like that.
Hmm.
Dementia. And there's another thing. We got so much dementia. How do we know some of these judges aren't already suffering from it? They
Yeah.
gripe about that was Ronald Reagan's problem. You know, for somebody who had dementia, he was pretty damn good at what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see a lot of us. I know I couldn't do it. My mind's, I don't have dementia yet, but I'm getting old and forgetting the crap. You know, that's just old age.
Well, speaking of medical conditions, let's go to the Trump rally. I saw uh, a clip from the rally where he was talking about how the media treated him about his his incident he had at West Point going down the ramp. He asked his wife, "How was his speech?" Oh yeah, his speech is trending #1, honey. Oh great, it really was that good. No, they're not even talking about the speech. They're talking about how you have Parkinson's because of
Yeah.
the way you walk down the ramp. And then I thought how he handled that whole thing was brilliant.
It was. I heard, I
Uh,
didn't hear the beginning of it, but I heard the rest of it. And yeah, it was, he
oh,
handled it brilliantly.
it was funny. I mean, taking
Yeah.
a bad situation and making it humorous.
Yeah.
Uh, I, it reminds me of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln would do the same thing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And the Democrats hated Lincoln
Oh,
about
yeah.
as much as they hated Trump right now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
oh yeah, and Jay Bird about the glass, because he was talking about his tie. He didn't want to get water on his silk tie because if you get water on it, it pretty much ruins the tie. And
Right.
the way he went off on that was
Yeah.
that, and saluting the cadets that led up to going down the ramp. And
Right.
I could see how, yeah, your arm would get tired for saluting
Oh,
600
yeah, because if
people.
he salutes each, and by rights, he is the commander in chief, and
Yeah.
they are in the military or a military college, and yeah, he should. Uh, uh, he's supposed to salute him. I mean, it was
Yep.
Obama was the only one who,
Yeah.
he didn't
Yeah.
know what.
Somebody had to
Like,
remind him to go back and salute that
yeah,
Marine when you got off the
yeah,
helicopter.
he goes back and shakes his hand or something the first time. It's
Oh,
like,
he saluted and then
yeah, he's Obama was such a waste of
yeah. And he
of
calls him
humanity.
corpseman.
Yeah, corpsemans. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
corpsman.
yeah. If only he would have been silent like the S's in core, we would
Yeah.
have been happier.
Hmm.
He just never spoke. You know, uh, yeah, Obama was a disgrace. You're right, Jay Bird.
Yep.
It's, and I've said it in the past, and I'm saying it now. We are paying for our sins.
Yep.
Here's the thing: in the '60s, now these socialist leftist, you know, Sandinistas, because they're just bad. Uh, these bunch of communist little knotheads,
Yeah.
they're agnostic or atheist, and all that. But yet the hippies, you know, I remember the Jesus freaks. We had different categories, of hippies, but you had Jesus freaks. The Jesus movement was a big thing. Uh, Evangelical churches were just growing like crazy. Of course, they were all a bunch of long-haired hippies that were joining them, but still, they were they were they were all over the place.
Mhm.
Spirit in the sky. Got to
Yep.
have a friend in Jesus. That, I mean,
I
you
have
listen to that.
a friend in Jesus,
Yeah,
spirit in the sky.
yeah. That song. I don't know which was worse, the guy Greenbaum who originally did it, or that doctor somebody that had his hair in it. He had long hair sticking out, and then he took the front of his hair, and made like a
Oh yeah.
yeah. He did that song too, and he was weird. And they're both, last I saw, they're both still kicking, but they just don't sound as good as they did back then. But
Yeah.
there again, that was one of those songs. But they talked about Jesus. If you talk about Jesus now, oh,
Oh,
we
what are you
can't.
going to say?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're one
Separation
of
of
them.
church and
Yeah,
state.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, Greenbaum is Jewish anyways. Yeah, exactly. Why was he writing a song about Jesus? You know,
Well, I like Steve Matt's, our prime minister. Yeah, Trudeau. I mean, maybe you
well,
should
Rick.
go back to writing cartoons again.
Yeah, Rick,
Oh,
don't get
that's
your
the
heart rate
wrong
up too
Trudeau.
high. He
That's the
says,
wrong Trudeau. Okay.
yeah, yeah, wrong Trudeau. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hey, Rick says, "Great show, guys. You have my heart rate going up. I can see it on the screen." I hope that's a good thing. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but uh, but yeah. Also, don't forget. Real quick shout out because Nick at High Tech Redneck, his son had a heart transplant
Right. That's right. Let's.
Friday, and I got a picture of him. They had to adjust the little boy's medicine, but he was, he was laying there sleeping, looked just a cute little booger, and so he's doing good.
Great.
But
Great.
uh,
Hey, Steve Mack, if you could put up the link to my Deplorables T-shirt. I've got a Deplorables 2020 T-shirt on Teespring. If you'd like to get one of those,
okay,
I
cool.
ordered a uh, couple T-shirts for you know. Boy, I'm just out
I
of it.
know. It's partly my fault. I slept in. We didn't get a chance to get into usually you and I have a little banner going before the
Yeah,
show and
yeah,
get the rhythm going. It
yeah.
just was a Charlie Foxtrot from the start. I did. I woke up at 10 minutes before the show. I came in here
Well,
and there's
and
2 minutes
this is
on the
more of
timer.
an emotional thing, I give one away and then keep one. It's not on this channel, but it's on my other channel. My
Hey, I'm gonna put up the link real quick for that GoFundMe
Yes, do
for High
that,
Tech
Lloyd.
Redneck. So
That would be
and
great.
I appreciate it. There's been several that have donated, and I appreciate that. So,
Great.
uh, but yeah, he sent a picture to us on Discord yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and he's just a cute little kid. We've seen him on camera a couple of times.
Right.
Greg and I have, but it's all that legal marijuana. It's all
Yeah,
that legal pot everywhere. There.
yeah, just about. It seems like more than half of the state has uh, legal marijuana. If it's not, recreational, it's medical. Uh, what are my thoughts on the COVID-19? Yeah, I like that. Kung flu. Yeah, or
Yeah,
the
China
Wuhan.
flu. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Uh, Here's something I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody saw it, but
that's the place, Steve. You can put it on here. What I ought to do is I ought to maybe later today or sometime this week I'll put a link in on this channel to my Teespring.
right, you need to put it on a link on the channel. You also need to set up Nightbot uh, to so it'll run your links.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah,
Yeah,
keep forgetting to do that. Okay, cool.
yeah. And I've actually got to update a couple of my links on my Nightbot. So,
Um,
uh, because Nightbot is good for a lot of things besides just kicking people out.
yeah, yeah,
I had to go back and change some settings because uh,
yeah. You had certain people that.
well, it wasn't that I wanted, I'll say right now, and he's not in the audience today. I don't know where he's
No,
at.
he's doing his Father's Day.
Father's Day thing.
That's
Yeah.
why he
Okay.
didn't do a show today. I asked Bill if
Oh,
Deplorable Old Glory was going to be on today. He goes, "No, we're doing the Father's Day thing."
Father's Day
Oh,
thing.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Because I was going to watch that, and then halfway through the show, I was going to get ready for this
Right.
show. So after we do this, we need to talk about what we need to do to get VMix working. Right.
I don't understand why it wasn't working because from my side everything looked good. I was
Mm-hmm.
looking at my I'm even right now I'm sitting there looking at it and because I'm still running my vmix
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just running external and
Yeah, maybe you could. Maybe
my
there's something I'm doing on this end that's messing up.
yeah
But
right
we'll
now my
talk about
GPU
that
is
in a
is
few
running
minutes.
15%.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm hearing a lot of really great stuff about the rally yesterday. Uh, I heard it was very humorous, and uh, and that's the way Trump ought to do that, because make fun of your opponent by poking fun at yourself, or
I think the best thing that cracked me up, I was driving to pick up something for dinner and I'm driving along or maybe I was listening to it when I got home. I can't remember. I think I was
right?
driving. And uh he talks about me, yeah, being in the bunker. He says Joe Biden is still in his he's being controlled by this far left bunch of anarchists. He says he never supported that kind of stuff in the past, but he doesn't run the Democrats. He's not the head of the Democratic Party. He's just their puppet. Says, you know, because he says I'd like to know what it is when he says to his when he starts talking to his when he's in his basement and starts talking to his wife. That is when he doesn't get her confused with his sister.
Yeah,
And I'm going, whoa, that's hitting, that's hitting below the belt. That was funny. And
yeah.
why are all these idiots doing this? We don't support that. Oh no, wait a minute. They are part of my party.
I
I love that.
like
Yeah,
how he pokes fun of the media and points out how much they lie, and yeah, he's absolutely right. And
yeah.
that I think that's the other thing that I like about Trump compared to George W. Bush is Trump won't let him get away with that crap. I
Well,
mean, he'll stand up to these people and say, you know what, that's wrong, and you shouldn't be saying that. It's like what I said on another posting. I said, oh boy, and I'm having one of those days.
yeah, yeah.
Question authority and yeah, stuff like that. And huh,
this this is the this is sorry folks, but this is the Alzheimer's episode
yeah, we're having
of uh Grumpy Old Men. No,
yeah,
that's not it. What show are we on? Art's
yeah.
Place.
Oh yeah, those
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Art. I know that part of it's my fault because I can usually run on while you're trying to catch
yeah.
up with what you're thinking. And even my mind's gone like it's it's uh it's sad. Oh, yeah. But
Questioning authority and the other. Oh, yeah. This is something that Mitch from Old Guy in a Drone mentioned uh, several weeks ago, talking about these press meetings. When Trump's press secretary goes out and tells the reporter what's going on and takes
right.
questions. And one of the things they always say is sources say blah blah blah. I like to know, who are those sources.
Yeah. That's been such a I don't know who they are, but man, they've been working for at least 40 years
Yeah,
because, I remember hearing them and back 40 years ago and I'm going, who the hell are these sources? You know,
yeah.
I just,
Well,
oh, we can't
really, what
reveal
they
our
change
sources.
it, say, instead of saying, "Well, I think you're lying," no, they change it to "sources say," you're lying and you're not correct about this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. His press
Agent
secretary
Terry,
right now,
welcome.
his press secretary is really
Oh yeah, I'm hearing a
he's
lot of really good things about it. I like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, but this gal is a real firecracker from what I hear. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, I'm trying to type here. Anyway,
Sources
yeah, thanks
say.
Agent K, and appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's ah, man, Art, my mind just went blank too. I did two things at the same time.
Yeah,
I
I'm
really, I was really
waiting
looking
for
forward
the
to this
press
show.
secretary to just really zing him with sources say. So, could you tell us what those sources are?
Yeah,
Then when they start what's that source again? I'm not hearing what the source is.
yeah.
Is it just you folks? Is it an outside group? Is it a think tank? Is it who are these sources?
Yeah, that's a question. Here's another question for you, Art. What the hell's a think tank?
Yeah,
I mean, because every think tank that's ever been put together, I've never seen any thinking really coming out of it. Because they're usually a liberal group that
mhm,
of has been scientists,
yeah.
old soldiers, that by the time they put them all together, they've already retired from their selected group of whatever their occupation was, and they joined a think tank. Well,
Well, maybe that's where those sources came from.
probably, yeah. That's probably the where. And what do they do? It's a tank. So do they all sit around in like a hot tub or something? One of those
I
big
like what Steve just said. Their sources are floating in the
floating in the
toilet.
toilet after they just took a dump. They look down and
What
say,
did you
"What'd you
say?
say?"
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's where the think tank is. It's
That's it. It's a
right.
toilet bowl.
We call it the septic tank.
Septic tank. There you go. Yeah, first time I heard think tank, I'm sitting there. So what do they got? A bunch of cattle tanks with warm water, sort of like a swimming pool, and they all sit around in their skivvies inside a cattle tank, talking about
Well,
what
like
they're going to
what
do.
Steve Matt says, most think tanks are a meeting of the mind with nobody
Nobody
present.
present. Oh man, they are on top of today.
Yeah. Okay.
They're
Well,
making up for our
turn it over to the chat. Yeah.
yeah. We'll just start reading the chat.
Hey, Ed's here. I love
Ed's
my
here.
drones. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, we'll get our shit together next week.
I hope so.
More things, more ways than one. And
You know,
Mel's probably saying, he's probably going to be watching and saying, "Oh boy, I'm not going to screw up like those idiots."
well, he's probably hoping I'll have another cup of coffee or two in me before
Yeah,
I get on to co-host his
boy,
show.
better wake his freaking ass up before this show.
Well, and that's it. Usually, you'll be on a topic, and I can run with it, and talk. I can talk about nothing for hours, just like most Democrats. I was a registered Democrat for almost 30 years, but that's because I lived in a Democratic controlled. I'll tell you, not quite 30 years, but when did Hillary run against Obama? Was that
Oh, that'd be
2008?
08.
Yeah, so from 81 to 2008, I was a registered Democrat. I never voted Democrat except in their primaries, And
Right.
the reason I know when I quit the primaries because I voted for Hillary over Obama because,
Lloyd, you know what that means?
what's that?
It means we heard this one already.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, yeah. Anyways, I voted, yeah, but yeah,
We used to do that to my dad because he would tell the same story
Oh
over,
yeah,
and then we got to a point where we raise our hands.
raise your hands. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Anyway, so but yeah, it's uh,
What's sad is you're not that much older than me.
yeah, but yeah, I know. Well, just look what you got to look forward to. That's it. You know, uh, but yeah, I know.
I get you, Mike. Depending on how this cycle goes, I may go unregistered or unaffiliate
Yeah,
because
I got to
here in
look and see.
Colorado, the Republican Party is really in disarray.
We
We got no, but there's no unity. We got two factions that are fighting each other for control, and what we end up with this circular firing squad, and then by the time we get a candidate, here comes the general election. The Democrats use the tactics against us that knocked our opponent out of the primary.
well, that's
So,
it.
and it
We have got so
all
much.
goes back to when Bob Beaupre decided to, I think he ran for Senate, and Mark Hillman, he was the former, I think, state treasurer, or yeah, I think he was state treasurer.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And he started running these both way Bob's ad. Well, Bob Beaupre won the primary. Guess what? The Democrats used those same ads against him. And that's
Right.
how Perlmutter ended up as our congressman here in Colorado.
Well, and that's the problem. We in that in some ways that's why the Republicans are as a party is so well. We've got to be nice. The reason they don't want to be nasty about something is because whoever it is they're going against as in the primaries, uh, they know it's going to be. They've at least learned that that's probably going to be used against them in the general election.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got to put that kind of crap aside. And we one of the I can't remember which election it was, but we had one where, and I think it was for governor, and the Republicans were leading. And everybody wanted a Republican governor.
Right,
That was the year that there was no backstabbing in the Republican Party,
right,
and the nominee they got was a good one. Any of there was like 4 or 5 running, and they had to do a runoff election, and
right,
even those two never went to that level. And that must have been around 98 or something, or
right.
maybe it was even 2000, you know, 2002 or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't
How
remember.
did that
But
work out?
they ended up taking everything. The Republicans took the House, they took the Senate,
Right.
and they took the governorship, and because they didn't lower themselves to that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the Republicans have to understand. You start beating up on each other before the election, they're going to use it against you.
Right. Well, if you look at Trump, that's not what he did. He really
No.
came out swinging against all the Republicans. Remember little Marco,
Oh yeah. Oh
low
yeah.
energy Jeb?
Yeah.
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 But he wasn't that bad to Ted Cruz.
No,
Ted, Ted Cruz were pretty civil, but
they
all the other ones, mostly the ones that were the front runners, which was
yeah.
uh,
Well, the rhinos.
Rubio and Jeb Bush. You
Yeah,
know,
well, he Jeb Bush was just another rhino, you know.
yeah.
He's and I've got to find that video. I saw it, somebody sent it to me, and I've got to find it. But it talks about how what's going on now was set in motion back when John Kennedy was running, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he was going to dismantle the CIA, and how things turned out and how they would have turned out had
Mm-hmm.
he not been assassinated, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes on to, the Bushes were involved with this, because,
Lion
well,
Ted, yeah.
yeah. Lion Ted, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now they're buds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ted's doing ads for the Republicans,
And
to keep the
wasn't
Senate.
wasn't it Ted Cruz that chose not to endorse Trump at the national convention, or refused not to speak or something? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I've
But
slept since then, obviously. I was really fired up to do this show, Art. I really was. Yesterday, all week, I've been thinking, man, I can't wait to do Art's show.
yeah, me too.
And then it's like,
There was so much stuff going on.
yeah,
Like,
and
wait.
yeah, and then it just went.
Well, it's one of those days, but
Yeah, it is.
we've done a little over an hour, so
Yeah.
we managed to do something. We did halfway.
We don't know what we did, but we did it.
We did it. Well, at least we didn't have a ramp to go down.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Show
yeah,
was our ramp,
yeah,
taking
yeah,
little baby steps,
yeah. I tell you what,
Yeah.
I'm careful going down ramps because it's, that's just, yeah.
Yeah, just don't wear leather shoes going down a steel ramp. All right, folks. I want to thank everyone for coming in and putting up with us, and putting up with the crappy stream that we had when we first started. We're going to get that taken care of right after this show. Lloyd and I, we're going to talk about what we could do to get this thing to work better on vMix, and we'll bring you a better show, because I like the intros that I have before the show.
Right.
And everything looks more professional. But we're going to get together and we'll figure out what's going on with the slag, and we'll make this a better show. So thank you very much for coming, everybody. Have a happy Father's Day, and we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Later, everyone.